Hey, you guys, I know I look crazy right now, but this is a process. So I wanted to come to you guys and just talk to you guys while I'm getting ready. And I wanted to talk to you guys about this is real talk at its finest. You know,
Excuse me, boss. You have a text message.
yeah, excuse me, boss. 1 second, you guys. Okay, so I wanted to talk to you guys about something that is very real and something that a lot of people don't talk about. And then not only that, a lot of people don't know actually happens. And it is regarding weight loss while you are married. Now, I can't speak on, will this happen to everybody? And I can't speak on, does it happen to everybody? And I can't speak on if this happens or can happen for people that, just lose, you know, 15, 20 pounds, 25 pounds. But when and if you lose a drastic amount, I can speak on that. Why? Because I have lost a drastic amount. So, I wanted to talk about something that, again, I try to talk about things that not just to be unique or to talk about things that not many people talk about. I do it because I think that it helps people. Because nobody wants to feel alone. No one wants to feel that they're strange. No one wants to feel that their life is so weird or they're so weird. In the weight loss community, whether that's just when you lost weight naturally or just the mere fact that you just lost weight, it's a process that you'll go through emotionally. And I think that not many people really talk about the process, the things that many people don't think about. And because of this, we don't have an opportunity to really see the view of others or how they got over their process or how they did their process. Um, a lot of marriages end when people lose a lot of weight, you guys. It's not so much, and from the outside looking in, a lot of people think it's because, oh, they lost weight and lost their mind. And in some cases, that's true. I mean, let's face it, because it's not it's not that often you have people at extreme weight, morbidly obese, and that they have high self-esteem. A lot of people gain their self-esteem after they lose weight. Now, that's not necessarily a bad thing. That's just reality. I happen to have been one that, because of things that was instilled in me, I had high self-esteem even when I was almost 500 pounds. I didn't wait until I lost weight to all of a sudden, because my flesh was smaller, because my clothing size was smaller, and because the scale told me and all of a sudden gave me validation of who I was. I had that self-esteem before I lost weight. I didn't have to be validated of my self-worth as soon as the scale told me, if you're understanding what I'm saying. So a lot of people, like I said, looking in, the outside in, looking in, they assume that it's because the person lost their mind or because the person wanted to quote unquote upgrade or because the person wants their freedom all of a sudden. It actually, not all the time, is because of that. Sometimes relationships change because the person that didn't lose the weight can't handle the weight loss. Yeah, it's not always the person who lost the weight. Sometimes when you take away certain people's comfort, let's give an example. If you're with a man that he feels comfortable with you because you're overweight and because his perception is not everybody is going to want you, or because he may say, that he doesn't have to be fearful of everybody wanting you. If you're with that type of man, he will have a huge reaction to you losing weight because then, in his eyes, you're more desirable to others. Now, a lot of people, let's take my husband for example. My husband knew that I didn't have a man shortage before him. If I wanted somebody and if I was attracted to them and if I found them worth my time and they felt the same about me, whether attraction level, I was worthy of their time, all of that, then, I didn't have a problem getting a man. Nor I don't think most women have a problem getting a man. Um, it's the quality of man that you get that is what is the challenge. Getting a man is not a challenge. You can get a man to look at you. That's not, so what? You know what I'm saying? Okay, you got a man to look at you. Yip de doo. But what kind of man? Is he a man of character? Is he a man of substance? Is he a quality man? That's the question. So getting a man is not a big deal. But some men do have that way of thinking that if they get with a certain type of woman, whether that's because she's overweight or whether that's because she's not that attractive in the face, or whether she, has, a whole bunch of children and they think, oh, nobody wants her because she got a whole bunch of kids. It's all about what they believe. They meaning the man. It's all about what their perception is. And we can't control other people's perceptions. That's one thing I've learned. And that's one thing I just go ahead and be me. Because if I try to be everybody else, including y'all, then I'm not being who I was meant to be, all over just because I don't want you to perceive me in a certain light. I could care less about that, to be honest. That's a process. It is a process to get to that point. But anyway, a lot of relationships change, and your relationship is going to change. It is going to change. You may need to make the person feel a little bit more secure in the relationship. You may need to, you know, um, kind of stroke their ego a little bit more than maybe you used to make them have that comfort level that they may don't have. You got to understand whatever you're going through, they're going through as well. It's just different for them, and it's just maybe not the same scenario that maybe you're going through, but they're going through something as well because change is change, and not everybody adapts to change well. You get sometimes relationships that grow apart because the person may be blooming and budding into something or someone else. Not necessarily a bad thing. I'm not saying that they're going buck wild and doing all kinds of things that's out of character, but they may be changing as far as not necessarily like clubbing every day and drinking and stuff. I'm not saying those kind of changes. I'm saying that they may be budding into the person who they authentically are or were, and they just weight had put a limitation on them. Maybe a limitation that they never even knew was there. And sometimes you'll grow apart from the person because of that, because you're changing into something or someone that the person did not fall in love with. You understand what I'm saying? So when we see people's relationships changing, when we see their marriages ending, when we see maybe they be with somebody else later on in life or whatever, we have, we as a society, we look and we shake our head and we automatically assume that it's because she lost her mind or because she wanted better than him, or it's not necessarily that. Now, how do you get around that, or how do you stop that from happening? Well, you have to have an open line of communication. If you do not have that, it will change and it may fall apart. It meaning the relationship that you're in. You have to talk before, during, while you're in the midst of the weight loss, after the weight loss, when you're in maintenance stage. You have to constantly have that open line of communication. The problem is a lot of men don't have that open line of communication and they don't embrace that. That's one of the things that can make the relationship fall apart. So you have to stress to them that, hey, I don't want us to wind up like so many couples that once the person has drastically lost a lot of weight, we wind up falling apart, growing apart. I don't want us to wind up like that. And if you don't want us to wind up like that, you're going to have to open up that communication level. If they don't do it, then hey, you have to tell them, hey, then you knew the consequences when I kept telling you that you had to open up that line of communication. If they don't do it, you've done your part. And you only can do what you can do. You can't force somebody to do something. No one likes change. Not many of us like it. And unfortunately, sometimes the man that's in your life doesn't like change either. And because of that, sometimes it does cause a relationship to do the demise of the relationship. So, my advice to you is to keep the lines of communication open. Let, you know, talk about this video and talk about, hey, somebody that I know, she lost a lot of weight, and she was telling, talking about something that not many people talk about, especially not on YouTube. Um, and I thought it was a good thing for us to discuss this before I lose weight or while I'm still in the midst of losing weight. And it'll just open up lines of communication. But the key, if you notice, I keep going back to is communication, and stress to him that he's going to have to communicate, whether he's done it before, he never did it before, whether he don't feel comfortable doing it, whether he don't think that's the manly thing to do. He's going to have to open up the lines of communication, or tell him straight out, or guess what, chances are, because the chances are really great, against a couple that say the person lost 150, 200 pounds, 200 plus pounds. The chances are it may not work. Not because she loses her mind. And again, that's how we look at it, because that's what our mind automatically goes back to. It automatically goes to that. But it's not necessarily that. Now, I do agree some people, they can lose their mind. And because weight has stagnated some people so long, we can't really knock them for it, because you may been there and done that, then swung from chandeliers and clubbed every day and drank every weekend. You may did that earlier in your life. Well, if she's 40 or 50 years old and she's never experienced that, you know she has been stagnated in her life for in whatever areas, because of her weight, maybe, and that may be why she's doing it. That's not for me to judge. That's not for you to judge. It really doesn't affect me, so I could care less, to be honest. Um, for believers out there that want to pray for them, because that's what you're supposed to do. You're not supposed to be just. You're supposed to pray for them, because after all, that's the only thing that's going to change them. So you is not going to affect them or change anything. But we do know who can change all things. So pray for them. If you really genuinely care and you're not just being judgmental and just wanting something to say about somebody to make yourself feel better or closer to Christ, then pray for them. That's what you're supposed to do. For everyone else out there, just wish them the best. But this is something that, like I said, that not many people talk about, and it is real. It does happen. It's just that you don't hear about it. You only see the results. but you don't necessarily know why things lead up to that sometimes. So I hope that
Excuse me,
this
boss. You have a text message.
I have to go, you guys. So I hope that this video has helped you guys in some way, shape, or form. Um, uh, as for my relationship with Chuck, it is changes. It has been changes. We're working on that because it's a process of, like I said, communicating, and it's a process for the other person, and it's a process for the person that has lost weight or is still losing weight. And as you're still losing weight, it's going to still be new emotions and things like that that's going to surface. So it is a process, but you have to find out if it's a process that is worth your energy, worth your time, um, and all of that. It's a process, but you have to have the lines of communication open. So I hope that this video has sparked a conversation in your own personal life with your spouse. I hope that it gives you further insight. I hope that it even explains some of the times when we see these things happen, when we see extreme weight loss in a person, no longer being in a relationship. This is sometimes why. It's not always just because they lost their mind. Hello? Yeah, 1100. Uh huh. Huh? Okay. I'll talk to you guys later. Thank you so much for tuning in. Make sure you thumbs up this video. It encourages me to continue to share. And if you haven't subscribed, make sure you go do so. It's free after all. We do it all here, but we do it all together. And this is the Big Cuz 52 family. Thank you so much for being present. Thank you for allowing me to share and find the value in that of which I do share. Be blessed.